South Africa's anti-apartheid icon, Nelson Mandela. On the 10th anniversary of his death, his pro-Palestinian support is perhaps more relevant than ever. This statue was erected in the West Bank city Ramallah to honour his legacy. After the collapse of South Africa's apartheid regime, Mandela had, says the head of the Palestinian Commission for Prisoners' Affairs, Kadura Ferres, stayed true to his principles.
He
is a world icon for struggle, and he was prominently presented in the literature of the Palestinian national movement, especially the National Prisoners Movement. Often, Nelson Mandela's name was repeated when we were in prison as an example of struggle, resistance and steadfastness.
Days after his release from prison in February 1990, Mandela greeted Palestinian leader Yasser Arafat with a hug. It was a symbol of his embrace of the Palestinian cause that his ANC party continues to champion. Arafat's Palestine Liberation Organization had been an unwavering supporter of the South African struggle against white minority rule. And many South Africans see parallels between the struggle against apartheid and Palestinian resistance to Israeli occupation. Israel disputes the comparison as a lie motivated by anti-Semitism.
Of over 350 years of colonialism.
This month, Mandela's grandson, Mandla Mandela, hosted a conference in Johannesburg calling for solidarity with Palestinians.
It was befitting for my grandfather when he visited Gaza in 1995, as well as in 1997, that he said our freedom is incomplete without the Palestinian struggle. And this for him was to illustrate to the global community that this is the greatest moral issue of our time. Yet the entire international community is silent and mute on the issue.
The Global Convention of Solidarity with Palestine was attended by members of Hamas. The group killed 1,200 people and took around 240 hostage, according to Israeli tallies, in its October 7th attack.
Oh, I kind of get sad every time I see that. I had to cut it off at that part because it's like so overwhelming to feel that much destruction and have to view that. But I really wanted to show the beginning of that clip to illustrate just how connected the cause of not only Black liberation, not only South Africa and apartheid, but global liberation is connected to the liberation of Palestine. A lot of Black folk or people in general are asking, why are Black people so triggered and upset by what we're seeing in Palestine? And I think it should go without saying, but I know that the American school system does not do a good job of teaching world history. And as somebody that taught American history, they don't do a good job of teaching American history, let alone world history. So the fact that people are not aware of just how interconnected we are across the diaspora, whether we're Black or brown, we are all connected. And really the only people that are not connected with us are the people that are hurting us. So I really want to start by handing it over to Hannah so she can really give us some perspective on why this issue is so important, the connection with us and why we are also fighting against this and speaking up against this, not only what's happening in Palestine, but also in the DRC, also in Sudan, also everywhere across the places that have been colonized, where we're seeing that there's one central connection, and that connection is that we have those of the global minority wreaking havoc across the rest of the world while we all watch in horror. So if you want to kick it off for us, Hannah, and speak a little bit about the cause, your connection to it, and some of the things that you've been speaking up about over the last 3 months.
Right. It's exactly that, Liz. It's, I guess it's the opposite. So, when I've been out there, I've been protesting for Nigeria. When I was out there for Black Lives Matter, people would say the same thing to me, like, why are you out here? And, I'd always say, I'm not free until we're all free, because it's interconnected, right? everyone just saw that there's a statue of Nelson Mandela out there. Malcolm X used to go out to Palestine. Angela White Davies used to go out there. It's so interconnected, because when we start looking at colonization, we look at how it has played out and how it still plays out. It's so interconnected. There is a mural in Palestine of George Floyd, because if we look at actually who trains the police force in the US, it's Israel, right? When you look at actually who's training the military that are carrying out the genocide in Congo, it's Israel. There is, if we don't start looking at this as a global issue, we're all fighting these battles, but if we're not coming together to really look at how our people are being tortured and brutalized and genocided, we're not, there's so much power in us, and it's really important when we start looking at how technology has been used, how the weapons are being used. We're so interconnected, and actually the divide and conquer strategy has worked so well. We're so busy fighting ourselves, and it's playing out so well that we can't actually come together. And yes, colorism is a thing, anti-blackness is a thing, and it's all been put in place for us to fight each other, and we're so busy doing that we're not actually looking at actually who has colonized us, who has enslaved us in one way, shape, or form. We're so busy doing that we're actually not looking at who has oppressed us for so many years and continues to do so, that we're fighting ourselves. And that is why it's so important. So I will stand up for all my black and brown siblings, because there is a bigger thing at play here for us. And when we start looking at actually how technology, surveillance, weapons are being used, literally when we hear, it's battle tested, we're seeing it how it's been battle tested, and then who goes and buys them afterwards. It's being tested on the Palestinian people, right? And then they all go and buy it then to then go and use it in Congo. They go and use it in Sudan. They go and use it in Haiti. They're using it on our people, right? And then it's battle tested. So if we don't all come together, it should matter to every single one of us. Every single injustice should matter to every single one of us. And that's why it matters. It's so, so important, because they don't teach us this. Of course, they're not going to teach us this.
No, it's not in their best interest to teach us this kind of stuff. And thank you for saying that, because I think that's they always say knowledge is power, but knowledge plus action, I think, is really the most important thing. If you have that knowledge, yeah, great, wonderful. But what are you doing with it? And what we have chosen to do is speak up on social media and use our platforms to advocate and bring awareness about this, make people understand why it's so important, help people to understand why the whole system is structured the way that it is, so that they can, I think a lot of times, Trina talks about this, I know Ashani talks about this, the idea of freeing your mind, divesting from a lot of the ideas that you've grown up with and think to be true. Just because somebody told you something doesn't mean that it's true. We have about close to 90 or so people watching right now. So thank you all for joining us. If y'all have questions or anything, comments that you would like to add to the conversation, please feel free to drop those in the chat, and we'll try to get to those as we're having the conversation. I really want to just round robin and have everybody just kind of give their thoughts on this, and it's going to be really flexible as far as the topic. I did not do a run show because I'm just too heartbroken to even sit here and think about all the things, because it makes my head want to explode. You want to talk for a little bit, Trina, and tell us why you've been so outspoken, and what some of the work you've been doing, and how it connects to the Palestinian cause, and really just not Palestine, but as Hannah said, it's all over the diaspora.
All over. And Hannah, you said it perfectly. Thank you so much for the work that you're doing on the ground, because it's important. As far as my piece, I'm just about speaking the truth. And as an educator like yourself, and also I work in the mental health space as a coach. So one of the things that I always tell all of my clients, when you learn new information, it opens up your mind. It opens up your heart. It tells you about who you are and who you want to be. So I always tell them to cultivate a polymathic mind, because everything connects. The reason why they encapsulated each little topic the way they did is so that you don't know the connections to all those topics. And then they get to control the narrative, as Hannah said. And we can't allow that. We have to understand that the history, the science. I'm currently listening to The Myth of Race. And, what we had was a lot of wealthy white men make up pseudoscience to create a divide, to create a false narrative around their superiority. And you see it playing out in Israel right now in every which way. And so we've got bogus science that has been used for thousands, like hundreds of years now, explaining how inferior Black people are, Asian people are, and that the builders of society is one demographic, and it's completely a lie. And as more and more people learn, the more you know, the more you grow, we get to get out of that state of mind. And this affects white people too. That's the part that they don't understand. This affects them so much deeper than they want to acknowledge. And the clients that I do have on the pale scale, I call them, they get it. They're getting it. Yeah, I said it.
That one now.
Yeah, because I heard other people saying I don't like to be called white. Okay, you on the pale scale,
Or melanin lacking is another one. That's my go-to.
Melanin deficient, whatever. Whatever you want to call it. The point is you're affected because the myths that you have been told and perpetuating, they affect you on your spirit. I work with mind, body, and spirit. Mm-hmm. And so what's happening right now is like this collective, it's kind of like that scene in Star Wars where the planet gets, Death Star blows up, that whole Alderaan, and Obi-Wan goes like this. Yeah. I feel that's what we're collectively all feeling like. I mean, I get goosebumps just saying that.
I just did.
Yeah, because that's what's happening. We're feeling with these tendrils, energetic tendrils going out to everyone, and we feel it. We feel it, and we wonder why we're suffering. So
somebody in the comments, Gwendol, thank you for dropping that, because I think that's a really important point, and I'm glad that we're going to have this dynamic conversation where people just get to chime in, because there's so much to talk about. But Zur Setzung, and I had to look it up. I took German in high school, but I did not know that was the name for psychological warfare. And that was what was done in East Germany. And it's really what has been done everywhere. It was done here in America. And thank you, white men suffer, but we deserve to suffer. And y'all killing yourself. Y'all becoming alcoholic. I worked in addiction, and most of the people that were calling in to get addiction treatment were white men, and they were alcoholics. Mm-hmm. So yeah, suicide rates and alcoholism and all these things. Yes, it affects you, but y'all are the ones that need to dismantle it so you can have a normal life. And I think that's a part of the problem too. Psychological warfare, as Gwendol said, it really permeates your mind, where it's almost like a gaslighting, a manipulating. You don't know which way is up or down. You start to question yourself. You're wondering what is really true, what is not true. You start to turn against the other people because you're like, maybe you're the one that's hurting me. You look like me, so now I hate you too. There's narcissism that has been done, and this has been going on for hundreds of years. Yeah. So this is something that has been purposefully done. As Hannah said in the beginning, this is not happenstance. This is not like, oh, this just, we all happen to slip and fall. Like a guy would tell you, when he cheating, I slipped and fell into it. You did not. You went there with the doing this. So clearly, when they decided we're going to conquer, because Trina talks about this all the time, you have lack of resources in Europe. There wasn't growing anything there. There was nothing going on. They were destroying each other, destroying all of their society. Yeah. Let's go and find where there's some resources. That thing that dropped yesterday about how now Israel is looking at giving licensure for that oil, the ability to try to get to that oil off the coast of Gaza. It always boils back down to white minority of the global minority wanting to harvest and grab and take resources. And they have to do that using psychological warfare. Obviously, they're using their missiles and their bombs and everything else, but they have to use tactics on our mind to get us to go along and be paralyzed by this. Go ahead,
Liz,
Trina. And then I'm going to have
there,
Ashani.
I just listened to, you know, I love TikTok. TikTok be coming with receipts. I'm so freaking happy that that platform agrees. But, you know, I just get little drops of wisdom pop in that basically oil is an inflated commodity that it doesn't have value like it does. There's plenty of oil. And the way that they did it, they had this big meeting of the geo, what is it called? Earth. When the people who study the planet. Come on, help me out.
What?
Geo, what is?
Ah! I know who you mean.
You know who I mean. It's popping out of my head because I got geopolitical stuck in my head right now because
I was going to say geopolitical.
I was saying geographers.
No, the people who actually study this earth, like minerals and you know.
Oh, geologists.
Geologists, these different layers. I knew it was a geo. So basically, they met in what, the 1950s, and fossil fuel. There's no fossil in fuel.
Right. I just learned that. I was like 3 days ago. I learned that. Right.
Thank you, everybody chiming in.
Everybody's saying it out.
We figured it out now, you guys. But thank you.
There's a delay too, though. That also will account for this.
But I knew that right there explains the links. They will go hegemony. Let me make that sure that word gets out there. Hegemony goes to perpetuate a narrative and get us all messed up. So that's all I wanted to say.
Yeah.
Oil.
So thank you for that. And that's a good example of how sometimes we are trained. Somebody says something, this is the truth. If they keep repeating it again and again, even if I always think about a relationship, because I always think about coming out of my toxic relationship how someone keeps saying a lie over and over again, and it happens over months, it happens over years. You start to think, was I tripping? Maybe I'm remembering wrong. So think about somebody, a group of people that are like, we have to hoard power. This is what we're going to say. We all have to get on the same story. It's like flying monkeys. When you have a narcissist, like, okay, you're going to say this person is bad. I don't like this person. And they're bullies. They start to keep repeating that same thing over and over again until it becomes true. So we're all sitting here like gold. We're all sitting here like, you know, what is that? What they're doing in DRC now? Everything that they're doing goes to the heart of what they do. They take a commodity and say, okay, now we have to control this commodity. And a lot of it is done through a narrative of lies. A lot of it is done through a narrative of control. A lot of it is done through a narrative of fear, because if they leave us in fear and confusion, we're all fighting each other while they're snatching the bag and running away with it. Ashani, what do you think?
Whew. Well, it's been a rough, let's see, October, November, December, January, a rough 5 months. It's been a rough 5 months on so many levels. And I was taken aback back in October when I had gone away on a retreat. And on this retreat, there was no internet, there was no technology, there was nothing. And so I was disconnected from social media, didn't watch the news and have a TV. Like, we were at a lakeside and we were on this retreat. And it was all about silence and solitude. So I'm away at this retreat, like getting centered, getting my peace back, because things had just been so hectic for me on social media prior to going away on this retreat. And so I come back and I'm just like, oh, I'm in such a peaceful place. I made the decision while I was away on the retreat to turn off my comments on social media because it was just too much noise coming at me every single day from multiple platforms. I know, like on LinkedIn, a lot of people who are really active on LinkedIn, they're only really active on LinkedIn. So people don't understand, like if you're someone who's active on 5 or 6 different platforms and you have large audiences on 5 or 6 different platforms, the noise is unbelievable. Like it's not good. Your mental health was not made for that. It was not made for that. And so I decided to turn off my comments, and I came back from the retreat, and I was just like, oh, I'm feeling so peaceful. And then I finally reconnect. And it was October 8th when I reconnected. And I was like, oh my God, like what? I want to get back off. Like, let me go back off, turn everything off. And what was interesting to me was that somehow in the midst of the atrocities that were happening, the trauma, the death, the everything that was happening, people still found a way to be anti-Black. I couldn't believe it. They still found a way to center and hate Black people in the midst of what was happening that had nothing to do with us. I'm like, why are people coming for me? I don't understand. And so many, Black educators, activists, content creators, specifically Black women, people were coming for us. And I'm like, I'm trying to understand, like, wait a second. I'm in New York. I'm Black. What do I have to do with what's happening over there? Right?
They knew you were going to say something.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. I did. Right.
Trying to silence you before you even got a chance.
Open your mouth.
Don't come for me if I don't send for you. Leave me alone. That's why I turn my comments off. Leave me alone. Right. Yeah. So eventually I started speaking up, of course, because I'm a human. And I don't believe in violence. I don't believe in violence against anyone. Okay. And I started sharing with people. Number one, there's no hierarchy in humanity. Okay. There is no hierarchy in humanity. So if you think that your life has more value than someone else's life, you are the problem. You are absolutely the problem. If you think certain groups of people, their lives are more valuable than other groups of people's lives, you are the problem. You are the problem, right? So I started speaking up and just challenging people to think outside of what you've been taught and what you've been shown. Ask more questions. Don't just go, just like you said, Liz, don't just go based on what you've been taught your whole entire life. Well, this is what my parents told me, and this is what I've been seeing in the news my whole life, and, over in the Middle East, it's just violent. They're just violent over there. That's why they say
right.
That's literally
just violent. Yeah. It's like, well, who taught you that? And who benefits from you believing that? Right? Where is that coming from? So I was challenging people, number one, to ask more questions. Don't just accept what you've been told and what you've been taught. Like something ain't right. Something ain't right. And then also power dynamics matter. Power dynamics matter. So you have to keep that in mind. Even if you think that someone deserves what they're getting, think about the power dynamics. Who has the most power in this scenario, in this situation, right? If you look at it from the perspective of abuse, who has more power? The victim can't be the main abuser. They don't have the power. They don't have the power.
That's been my biggest struggle on LinkedIn. When you talk about, hey, at its core, in any situation, if someone comes in here and says, you know what, I want to share with you. And I'm like, come share. I have enough. You can come live here. You can get in my spare room. And then they're like, you know what? Not just a spare room. I think I want your office too.
Yes.
Like, wait a second. I said you could stay in the spare. Well, no. And I think I need you to go in the basement so I can have the whole top level. Am I supposed to what now? Because I just don't like this idea of, well, if you strike somebody, you got to get ready to get, like, you got to get got now. Like, we're going to just destroy you. Who taught you that? Where were you raised where the victim, it's just like they told us Nat Turner was bad. Ooh, Nat Turner bad. No, Nat Turner was a victim of a global human trafficking scheme where he was kidnapped from his homeland and he was a descendant of people that were kidnapped, and he was like, I'm not dealing with this anymore. I hate this narrative where the victim becomes now the problem. And we see it in America all the time. Black people, y'all are violent.
But it's
a projection.
And it's a projection. To be able to do that, you've got to not see that person as, or the population of people as human in the first place, right? And we see it. We see it in the UK. We see it with Muslims. We see it all the time. You don't see them. They don't see them as human in the first. To be able to do those things in the first place, you dehumanize that person.
That's right.
Can you tell us more about that, Hannah, about Islamophobia, what you've seen in UK? I know UK is very racist because I was born there in London. And I'm telling you, when people say, oh, it's no problems in UK, no. I was born in London and it's very racist there. So talk a little bit about Islamophobia and some of the things that you've been doing. Ashani said, you're on the ground, you're going to the marches, the protests. What are some of the things you're seeing, and what are some of the things we need to know about this?
It's been a really long time, because I've always said it's a very, very different experience being, whether it's South Asian, Arab, Palestinian, whatever. So, people will kind of box you into like, okay, you're brown. So it's a very, very different experience. Even when you look at like pay gaps and things like that, it's a very different experience being Muslim than it is just being South Asian. Because it's a totally different experience. So even when you look at films, like like half the time I think I'm a terrorist because it's just the way you've been portrayed and the way that every single thing you watch in the film and it's not even a stereotype you have. It's like an ideology. It's an ideological stereotype that you have. So you're not even like this one-to-one threat. Because they think you're going to come and take over their country and you're going to, it's such a huge threat of a stereotype that people have.
Diabolical, man.
Your whole existence, right? So you're going to come and you're going to take over their country and you're a terrorist. It's huge. So the dehumanizer, and it comes with children as well. So when people say, but also we get it from our own people as well. So like people that look like you also. So now what we're seeing, with Palestine, and we've seen it. The most amount of Islamophobia that I have had has come from folks from like India, for example. So when people kind of go, you're brown and you're brown and you're the same. No, it's not. It's a very, very different experience being Muslim, because people that look like you will come for you too.
Yeah.
So it's really, it's a really
that
different.
Hurts.
It's a really different experience that you have. That people are not really ready to address or even talk about. So you're navigating all these, you're navigating your race, you're navigating your religion. And I said it, I was speaking at an organization and I said, when you have to leave your house, like your just sheer existence is political. So you have the racism and then your sheer existence is political. Like if I go out wearing this hoodie, for example, it's political. People would not let me into a shopping center or an organization or whatever. I then become a threat. It's wild. It's wild. And for me, I've been marching for Palestine. I've been supporting Palestine. I've lost friends in Palestine, 15 years. And when you deny someone's existence, you damn better well expect some resistance. Because for how long do you expect people to just sit there and take it? You're gonna come into my house. You're gonna smash up the walls. You're gonna pull up you're gonna torture me. You're gonna shoot me. You're gonna do what? Beat my family. You're gonna kill my family. And what I almost say, what do you want people to do? You just want them to lay down and take it?
Yeah.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
Lay down and die. Is that what you want them to do? Is that like, if that's what, just say it then. Say it.
Yeah. Oh, they never will though. I want you to, before you chime in, Trina, I want Hannah, can you tell us a little bit, because you've been very vocal about protesting as well, and you've been doing that really for everybody across the diaspora for a long time. Can you tell us a little bit about, as a content creator, how you've been able to navigate your advocacy work and your voice and ensuring that you don't let people forget what's happening? Because people in America, everywhere in the West, we got a short attention span. So people are like, oh, okay, that time for that to be over, just like they did with George Floyd and everything else. It's like, we want to move on. How do you navigate as a content creator, continuing to advocate, and what should people do to support those of us that are really trying our best to make sure that this doesn't go forgotten in the buzz of everything else?
Once you realize everything is interconnected, it's quite easy to do, because what some people will do is be like, okay, now that's over. Now I can't talk about my Muslimness. I can't talk about my, my advocacy for Palestine without talking about anti-blackness, without talking about my black siblings, because it's all interconnected. There is black folks there in Palestine. There is there. So Mark Lamont Hill, he was there when everything was happening in, is it Ferguson? The Palestinians were on day 52 of occupation, and they were tweeting each other because they were tweeting Mark Lamont Hill and saying, right, put this right, put milk in your eyes, wrap this, get closer. And they were on day 52, so they were telling them what to do. In fact, there's always been solidarity there between the Palestinian people and black liberation in the US. So for me, I can't talk about one or the other. And so once you realize that it's interconnected, so when we have people that say, well, I'm just for this cause. So if people say, well, I'm just here for Muslims, then you know what? Then be really clear which Muslims you're here for. Because you're here for black Muslims. If you're not here for, Muslim women, if you're only here for women, then if you're only here for white women, then say you're only here for white women.
Yeah,
if
just be real.
If you're only here for black, straight, non-trans women, then just say it. Say which say the demographic of people that you're
so
here
we
for.
can know who you are.
Oh yeah,
we can know who
and
you
on
are.
business.
Do you know what I mean? Because if I'm here for Muslim, South Asian, whatever I'm here for, then I'm if I'm only here for Muslim people, then I'm not. There's black Muslims. There is LGBTQIA Muslims. There is South Asian Muslims, white Muslims. I've got to be here for my whole, because everyone is into. I've got to be here for disabled Muslims. I've got to be here for neurodivergent Muslims. So I've got to be here for every single person. So it's all interconnected. So I got to show up for every single person.
Yeah.
Right.
That interconnectedness is a real one. And I just want to, before I turn it back over to Trina, I want to highlight what Zach Borodkin said, because it has really been bothering me too. He said, when you say it affects white people, I think about feminism and how they're ignoring the girls and women in Gaza while posting about actresses who didn't get nominated. There's been a real hush from the DEI community, pseudo community, because really I feel like they're just money chasers and shysters, myself personally, because a lot of these people are not interested in anything beyond scoring a corporate gig so they can continue to gatekeep or uphold gatekeepers. So they're not speaking up. The feminists are not speaking up. Like you said, people get very selective about who they're going to advocate for. And then it's like, when you're not really an activist, you're not advocating, you just care about people that look like you. So how can you really make change? Go ahead, Hannah.
Someone said it to me, actually. I can't remember where I was, but someone said to me, and it was almost like they had a light bulb moment. And someone said, you know what, actually, in organizations, we have DI people, and they've been really quiet, and it's really impacted me. They said, but actually,
they don't want to impact their money. That's why they're being quiet.
And they said, but what we actually need. So I've always been, I work in DI, I work in anti-racism, but in my heart, I've always been, every time people are like, who are you? I'd be like, this is me. And I show my picture of me and my placards, right? I'd be like, because if you want to take me in, you need to know that, if you can't find me at the weekend, this is where I'll be. But people said, actually, you know what? The reason things are not moving forward is because what we actually need is we need those activists. We need activists in our workforce, because
that's right.
The reason it doesn't move forward is because we have those, people standing on the steps with diversity, inclusion, we're not looking at liberation. We ain't liberating anyone. So we're really missing the liberation. Where's the liberation? Nobody's been liberated. And then we go back and go, okay, let's go back to equality. Let's go back to, the equity. And then we keep going backwards. Nobody's actually being liberated. We're not focusing on any liberation up in here. What we need to do is
want no liberation.
We need to
I don't think they know where to begin, because they don't have the experience. But here's the thing: if you want to disrupt, you disrupt. You can't disrupt by going, okay, let's start over here for a second, and then we're gonna go over here for a minute.
Oh no, let's meet you where you are. I'm not meeting you over there because I don't want to get killed.
Exactly. So what I was gonna ask you, Hannah, one of the things that I found interesting that you said is that, of course, I always say connect those dots. So what do you think? Because this has been on my mind, and I did a lot of research on why anti-Semitism came to be, what's the deal with Islamophobia? Why is that region, the Levant region, which is actually a part of Africa that the Europeans cut up and said, okay, this is the Middle East and North Africa. Why is it, in your opinion, from your background, this all of a sudden was a thing? What is the threat? Not terrorism, because that's not what it is.
No.
What's the real threat?
So it's actually, so people think that it's, so, you know, it was like 9/11 and then it all kind of, but actually what I was reading American Islamophobia. If people haven't read it, it's a really good book. But actually what people, this has been going on since Islamophobia, well, and actually even the wording of it, right? Phobia. It's almost, that in itself is gaslighting. Like, it's okay, we'll do it, but it's okay because we're scared of you. It's a phobia.
Like, the same thing with Black people. We're scared of you, but you killed me very easily. So I don't know why you're scared of me.
So, you know, whatever happens to you, it's your own fault because, you know, scared of you. I'm phobic against you.
Yeah.
But actually what happened was when people were enslaved and they took them over to the States, what they didn't realize was that a lot of these people were Muslim and they didn't want to bring them over. And they were like, like what we've enslaved, but we want to keep these people enslaved. What do we do? But we didn't realize they were Muslim. And there was, so when Trump was like, let's make America great again and put this Muslim ban in, what he was referring to was a Muslim ban that they had back then. And all that they would do, they would only let Muslims in from Saudi Arabia where they had a trade agreement. And this was back when people were enslaved, or their skin was light enough and they were white passing. So they wouldn't. They actually had a Muslim back when people were enslaved, which was really interesting.
So it always goes about goes back to being Black.
And no, well, what it actually, so when you actually look at the fundamentals of Islam, what it is it's basically anti-capitalism. So if you were to buy a house, interest is not a thing. Alcohol is not a thing, right? So where do they exploit people? Where do they they like, you know, like where do they
messing up your coins?
It messes with your mind. Alcohol, drugs. If you're to buy a house, you don't charge interest on it. Where do they basically screw everyone over? It's basically anti-capitalism, right? It's literally a threat to the West, like the West, basically.
Oh, it makes so much sense now, because you know I've been trying to find research. I found out information about why there was anti-Semitism throughout time because of the concept of usury, and usury is basically the same concept as in Islam, that you can't charge interest. You cannot loan money or loan anything and take something extra. It always goes back to that. And of course, Christians could not, loan to Christians. So the Jews were the middlemen.
We have equal, I think I'm too that's married, but we have equal distribution of wealth. So if you have
that too.
So it's and that's not what it's not what the West want, right? It's not. It's and when I think the World Cup was happening, you know, there was a real thing. Oh my God, there's not going to be alcohol in Qatar. Women are going to feel the way. People came back and were like, that is the safest I felt. It was a really nice, and people were like, oh, that's not what we expected. Women are treated away. There is more. So they say, you know, women are oppressed. There is more women entrepreneurs. When you go to Saudi, because they don't work, but what they do have is they have wealth and they have their own businesses, so they're entrepreneurs.
And I don't like how we measure what women's empowerment is by a patriarchal Western standard. Don't go in other people's cultures saying they're oppressed. How dare you? Stay over here where you're taking away a woman's right to choose and making people that are victims of sexual assault have a child.
Another projection.
Mind your own business, please.
And let's be honest, nobody wants to work. Nobody wants to get
sure
up and go to work.
I know I don't.
And it's a lie. Nobody wants to get up and go and work for somebody else and make some money. And the only people they can tell that to is like young people, and they kind of mess with your head and go, yeah, you want to go and get a job and work for somebody else and get up in the morning when it's freezing cold and drive and make money for somebody and work for minimum wage. Nobody wants to do that. And then they tell women, because you can't do that, you're oppressed. Nobody wants to get up and go to work.
Right. So it's based on their own way of saying this is what you're supposed to be, or this is what you're supposed to think, or this is how you're supposed to be. And I find that really offensive.
Slavery.
And it's not saying
Capitalism
nobody's
is slavery.
ambitious, but you know what? You can use that energy, and if you want to do something for yourself. Whatever, use that energy and use that. Do whatever you want to do. Be an educator, have your own business. But nobody wants to get up and go work for somebody else and make them money while you have no choice. Where you have to ask to go to the toilet if you work in a call center or whatever. Nobody wants to do.
Right. Even the concept of money, when you think about the connection between the African diaspora, and I'm going to let Ashani chime in next too. But when you think about the connection between the history of the African and Black diaspora and Islam, I think people don't even understand what Islam is. When we think about peace be unto you as a greeting, peace is about love. I was at UF when I was at University of Florida. I was actually considering converting to Islam. And I remember going to masjid and the people being the most loving and kind and amazing people. And if you have in your mind, well, this is how somebody is, you won't be ready to accept. You can't even accept that love. And I think that's the problem with people in the global minority. They don't understand that Black and brown people can be the most empathetic, loving, accepting. We vibrate on such a high level of emotional intelligence. Everything we do is grounded in the collective. And they would see me come in, and it wasn't like, oh, what's that Black girl want? It was like, come in, come here. I love you, and hugging, and everybody is so loving and caring. So I think people have really bought into the stereotype of this is what Islam is. This is what Blackness is. This is what being in the diaspora is. And we've been trained to accept these stereotypes that are coming from people that don't look anything like us. Mansa Musa, when he went on his pilgrimage to Mecca, threw so much gold into the streets that he devalued gold. He collapsed gold because he was like, have money, threw it. And if you don't know who Mansa Musa is, go ahead and Google him now. Because if you're thinking about why we're all so invested in this, you need to understand the history of us Black folk as a people. When you look at him as an example, where he was like, take this gold, I will collapse gold, do whatever you want with it, because I want you to have too. It really speaks to what you're talking about, Hannah, this idea that the collectivism, Ubuntu, I don't exist unless you exist. You don't exist if I don't exist. We all are connected to each other. Go ahead, Ashani.
Yeah.
I think it comes back down to us asking questions about the stories that we tell ourselves and the stories that have been told to us. If you find that there always has to be an enemy, right, for you to focus on, someone has to be the enemy. So whether it's someone from the, Islam, or if it's Christians, or if it's Black people, or if it's immigrants, or whoever, there has to be an enemy. But who decides who the enemy is, right? Who has enough power? Who has enough power to control the narrative in such a way that they tell you who's the enemy that you should be focusing on, versus everyone asking themselves, well, let's look around. Let's look at what's happening. Let's look at history. Let's look at who's causing the most harm right now. And let's look at who's being harmed the most, right? Let's look at what people are trying to get us to focus on, which is essentially distractions, so that we're not focusing on the real issue, the root issue, right? So if they can keep us distracted, then they win, right? If they can keep us going back and forth at each other, talking about, well, that's anti-Semitic, or, well, you're racist. No, I'm not racist. And so we're down here, and it's like just like Liz said, then they're out here doing all this horrible stuff and gaining from it, building their own wealth, right? Gaining more power and control. And then we're so busy bickering with each other, we're not even noticing, we're not even getting to the root of who's causing the issues, where the issues coming from. Are we really enemies? Don't we have more in common than we have that are, differences between us? Why can't we focus on that? Maybe if we focus on that.
Right. We did in history, we did. The problem is it didn't serve the European, it didn't serve the colonialists. Before they got involved, historically, everybody in the regions that we're talking about traded with each other. I just wrote an article about bartering.
Mm-hmm.
That's how we, and also saw a video about how other countries hate trading with the U.S. They hate trading
What a
with the U.S.
shocker.
I know.
Because when they trade, for example, when Japan or China or whatever trade with other countries, there's a certain idea that, okay, we'll give you a good deal because we're building a relationship on trust and integrity. America will just go beat you down to the lowest price and never see you again.
Well, Nelson Mandela said that. Nelson
Yeah.
Mandela said anyone who talks one way to one group of people and another way to another group of people does
Yeah.
not deserve to be a leader. You cannot, because you have to
Yeah.
cooperate with everybody. And when I heard that, I was like, that is so true. Because they asked him, why was he close with Palestine? And he was
Yeah.
like, why do you care? Like, why are you?
Why not?
Why do you care? As long as I'm talking to everybody the same way and I'm being straight up with everybody, don't worry about who I'm friends with. You need to worry about your own country and focus yourself on that. And the true words had never been spoken, because he was like, I can be friends with them. I can deal with you because I'm talking to everybody the same way, truthfully.
Exactly.
That's why I think there's no hierarchy in humanity. There's no hierarchy. Why do you think that you are superior to this group and that this group is inferior and that this group deserves whatever comes their way, but this group, you better be good to this group. And if this group does violence, it's justified. If this group is violence, that is never justified, and they're a terrorist. And it's like, well, which one is it? Is violence wrong or not? If violence is wrong, it's wrong for everybody. So you can't.
It's who's doing it, right? It's who's doing it,
and this group is doing even more violence, but they're not terrorists. It's
no, because
violence.
One group's not human, right? One group's not human.
And that's that book. That's that book.
And they like to co-opt. They like to co-opt words. So that even like the word jihad, like jihad, the actual word, the meaning of the word is it's a struggle, right? So if you are going through a tough time, if you have lost some, whatever, that's your own personal jihad, right? And they like to co-opt words, and now
like woke.
Like woke, like they just love to co-opt a word, and they like to take, like, you know, do you condemn? Like it's just it's
condemn.
Do you like?
It's the mental gymnastics that they do to try to. This is all I gotta say, and I'm gonna say this because I just sincerely see it throughout history. Everything that I've ever studied, everything I've ever experienced, psychopaths. That's the word, because the mental gymnastics they have to go through to justify the horror that they put on the rest of the world and say that we're great. You have to be psycho. You have to be mentally disturbed.
Toni Morrison said it. It's a psychosis. Something is wrong.
Psychosis. And where did that come from? They did it to themselves over and over and over again in their history.
Well, that's why they don't want you to learn the history. They don't want you to know the history.
No, exactly.
Connect the dots. It's like, oh my gosh. It's like deja vu. It's like, oh my gosh, it's happening again. They're doing it again. And the strategies, they're so not the same at all. They just keep doing stuff. It's like, you just did this 50 years ago. You just did this 200 years ago. You did it 100 years ago.
It works. So they're just recycling.
It's like you keep doing the same crap. But because people don't learn about it and they don't understand it because they're being distracted, because remember, these people are your enemies, so you gotta watch out for them, because they're coming to take your jobs, they're coming to take your land, they're coming to take your power. You gotta watch out for them because they're your enemy, but they're also your competition. So be careful, because they're trying to compete with you too. It's like, so they keep people distracted, they keep people ignorant and
but it's a projection. So, it's a projection of what they do.
But it's not even hidden.
Part.
There is on Google, there is literally a I don't know if people have seen it. It's called the Global. It's like a playbook, and it tells people exactly what to say. Like, because it's not even hidden anymore. So a lot of it is just
they don't care anymore.
And it's like okay, if somebody says this, say this, but use an empathetic voice, act like you care, blah blah blah, and it's literally written there for what people can say.
Is that the book? How to Win Friends and
No, no,
Influence
no.
or
It's
something?
called I'll find it. It's called like I'll find it 1 second. But it's
Because I always called that the how to make
How to
friends
win
and
friends
win
and influence
influence.
people.
Yeah, something like that. I always said, "Ooh, that's the narcissist playbook."
It's called the Israel Project 2009 Global
Oh,
Language
yeah,
Dictionary.
I saw that too. Yeah.
But it literally it has it all written down. It's like literally like a handbook, like of how to justify.
I'm so glad you said that though, Hannah, because it's like when you think about the co-opting of culture in order to try to, it's almost like a reverse Uno card. It's like, okay, I'm going to turn it back around on you. Like a word like jihad, a word like what, even from the river to the sea, saying, well, that means you're, no, that doesn't. Or you have a Black national anthem. So that means, it doesn't mean any of that. We can be empowered. We can say we want freedom and liberation. It's almost a gaslight. You don't need to be free. If you're being
It's not
free, that
almost.
means
It is.
you're trying to destroy me. Yeah, it definitely.
It ain't almost.
It is. It's literally like from the river to the sea. Are you saying you want to kill me? I didn't say that. Like, where did that come from?
It's Darvo. Darvo. They do it all the time.
But it's almost like we don't like. Do you think we don't see? Do you think we don't know? We know people who, and you can see it. So like they will go into people's houses, and you've got ex soldiers that will come and say, like, I used to go into people's houses and they will smash down their walls. They'll pull their electricity out. They will beat their family. And then they'll be like, okay, cool, see you later, next house. And this happens. This will happen tonight. And that is what, for fun, that is what they'll do. And they will destroy people's life. And when I say, like, I would like this wall here I've got in my house, they'll knock it down and leave it. And they'll put all the electricity out, pull the front door off, ransack houses, and go, okay, right, next house.
Can I comment on this? I hope BRICS really happens. Listen, BRICS is another imperialistic structure, just with another bunch of imperialists. It has to be something more than that. It's not the piece that's going to give the freedom to us all. It's just another hegemonic mechanism with different leaders.
Well, that's all people have seen. So it's like they're mimicking already like a colonialistic, patriarchal.
Yeah.
It's like we need to start using our imaginations like we always did and create
something different.
Totally different. And anything that will help the US to not be as dominant and not be as much of a bully, honestly, I'm in favor of, but I agree with you. It should not be something that mimics what we already have, because we already know that doesn't work. This colonial experiment and all this manifest destiny, somebody said it earlier, this capitalism, everything that's happened, we're seeing it crumble. And I think Trina talks about this all the time. And Ashani just said it. They do this every, decades go by, and it's like, okay, everything crumbles and we have to start all over. But we're a lot smarter now. We have access to a lot more information, like everybody said, with TikTok. Yeah. And we're able to instantly get information. So you can't lie. They can't lie like they did with Iraq and say, oh, we're just there to get weapons. No, you wanted oil. You was over there causing the same damage that you're doing right now, but we didn't know because all we have CNN. I don't even look at CNN anymore because I'm like, CNN is lying. So let me just go to TikTok to get my news, or Instagram or somewhere else. People are actually telling the truth, because the news is just another arm of, they have control over the news too. So people think it's a conspiracy. It's the truth. It's what's happening.
It just be careful on TikTok though, because I just saw a video today that I don't want to make it sound like I'm on TikTok all the time. I really am.
I'm there too, though. I'm there too.
I know. But what happened is this Black guy went on a live and totally blasted the Israeli government, who was paying him to be pro-Israel. Black dude, pro-Israel in his videos. And so they are infiltrating everywhere. And I say this to segue into something that I think is really important that we haven't mentioned yet: the media machine in all its many facets. When you do your research, you see from 1940s on, when Hollywood and entertainment and television, all that stuff first became, it was controlled by Zionists. It was controlled
propaganda.
by, and the propaganda machine has been so strong throughout time, but we're now have other resources, like you were saying, Liz. There's other resources now, but we really need to be more critical thinkers.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's where it comes down
Colonize
to.
your mind.
Exactly.
Please.
Yeah.
Well, it's not even colonials. It's manipulation. It's deliberate
Abuse.
repetition of lies, like you said. Like, you know, and then you get people who are completely fear-based, wanting to believe that because it gives them a sense of peace.
Yeah.
We have to go back to, instead of understanding, we need to understand. We need to understand. We need to focus on our inner well-being, reconnect. And I've never been a religious person. My brother is Muslim. I was, quote unquote, I guess, kind of Christian, but those are even divided because there's one collective entity, energy, or whatever that's connecting us all, and they divided it up and chopped it up to say it's this, say it's that. And I'm on the side of the more peaceful stuff, for sure. That's why I've been the philosophy of Buddhism for 27 years, because that's the peaceful stuff. You can be a Muslim Buddhist, you can be a Christian Buddhist, you can be all of those things.
Yeah.
But it's ridiculous. Let's talk about how the media has influenced the mental state of,
I think what's been really telling, I think what has come from the last 130 odd days is that the media has been exposed hugely. I think people have really seen the media for what they are, but I think also things like TikTok, but the young Gen Z, you know, I just need to give a little clap to all Gen Z. They are.
I love them.
You know what I mean? Like, good on Gen Z, but also even here in the UK, we've had students like, and if anybody that's watching the live, support your students. That they have been barricading themselves into their universities. They've been sleeping in their lecture halls, eating in there, and they have been demanding their universities to stop, supporting defense organizations, and they're not having it. And there is a new generation, and they've ignited flames in us as millennials, and they're not here to play. And I think any organization that, when it comes to whatever month they start trying to recruit their graduates and their apprentices, if you ain't doing the right thing, you're not going to get those people into your organization. If you've been silent, they are going to have a stark awakening. So everyone needs to start supporting Gen Z, because they came, Israel came and said, like, it's not a left wing, right wing thing anymore. It's a young and old thing. This is how it's now.
Hell yeah.
TikTok is a huge
hell yeah.
I think one of the things that have come from this time is that people recognize that the media and the government, they're all owned by the same people. They're all owned by the same people, entities, everything. It's all the same. So it's like, and if you just pay attention, it doesn't even take any sort of effort whatsoever. It doesn't even take any critical thinking whatsoever. If you just listen, what are the people in the government? What are government officials saying? Elected officials. Okay, take that. What are they saying in the media? Okay, take that. What are they saying in the newspapers? What are the journalists saying? Take that. You're going to find the same consistent message coming from all of them. Why? Because they're all owned by the same people, right? So they get paid, to perpetuate these messages. So what you need to do, and who you should be listening to, are the people who are the most harmed by what's happening, and the people who have the most experience, right? If you want to know what's happening with Palestinians in Gaza, listen to Palestinians in Gaza.
Correct.
Not that complicated.
Oh my God.
Yes.
What's happening with Black people? Listen to Black people. Oh my gosh, it's revolutionary.
Right?
Yeah.
Happening, right? But it's like you keep getting your information from the same sources who are paid, right, and owned by these same people and entities and everything, who are going after their own interests to continue to dominate, to continue to just build their own wealth at the expense of everybody else, right?
That's right.
Stop listening to them. Listen to us. Listen to the people who are living it out. Listen to the people who are being harmed by it the most. Listen to them, not those entities, these educational institutions. You see how they're treating Black women.
Yes.
Educational institutions. tells you all you need to know.
Everything you need to know right there.
No. Why is it happening in more than one place? Might that be a pattern?
Right. And when you delve, there's a really good book. It's called The Palestinian Laboratory, and it's all about surveillance. And when you look at the and it's how technology is used. If you look at the index back page, you can list pretty much every black and brown country, and you see how Israel is then complicit.
There you go. There you go.
And then when we talk about interconnectedness, you look at the page, you see how these are all connected.
Yeah, somebody mentioned in the comments earlier about Rwanda and the Hutsi and the Tutsi.
Yeah.
The West has backed, when you think about genocide and everything that's happening in DRC and everywhere where there are resources to be mined or something to be gained, even with Gaddafi, anywhere where people are trying to do something that is in the benefit of the whole and the collective, or if you're seeing like all these warring parties, guarantee the West is behind it. The West is supplying weapons. The West is, that's all we got to supply. Entertainment and weapons. We don't got nothing to export, nobody. So all we can do is cause war so we can make money. This is always what it goes back down to.
Industrial war complex, BlackRock, Halliburton, these, what else, the other ones. I mean, Zelensky with his goofy ass just basically said thank you at some award show to all the people involved in the destruction and the pew and blowing up of his own country, because they have invested and said they're going to buy. I don't know if did you guys watch that Putin interview?
I didn't see it with Tucker Carlson.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet. It's on my watch list.
Ooh, you guys gotta watch it.
Friday night, I watched it tonight.
It was like, because I can't stand good old Tucker because he be getting on my nerves how he spins everything. But this interview was very really insightful. It was really insightful. Like I said, I'm not a fan of any imperialists, but he broke it down. He said the U.S. is trying to destroy itself. Who's really behind that?
Yes.
Who's really behind that? Well, I know that Israel, I think it was in 1993, sunk a U.S. submarine and said, "What you gonna do?" And did the U.S. do anything? Nothing.
No.
So who's running who?
The ultimate bullies. Well, we know they own the U.S. They run everything here. That's why you can't say. That's why you're not supposed to say anything against them. You can't speak out against them because it's like,
they passed that bill. Yeah.
You don't speak out against the bully, the abuser. You don't do that. Oh no.
All right.
What about all that trafficking?
If you want to support, I want us to wrap up because we're actually at the top of the hour, just at an hour because we started a few minutes late because of the intro. So I want to give Hannah the last word. Somebody dropped a link in the chat, but we don't have access to it. If you want to support Hannah's work, please donate or share the link. Does somebody have the link that you could drop in there? Hannah is on the ground, and I want you to share the last word about some of the things you've been experiencing because of your advocacy, and give people the opportunity to find out how they can support you. Thank you for the person that dropped that link. I appreciate that.
Yeah, so we speak to people kind of every day. We have, we've just kind of set up support groups and stuff, but also, we have people that are down at the Rafah border every day, sharing what's happening, the displacement. Every day we check in just to see if they're still with us, basically. People that just don't have tents. We've lost people. People on here know about Mansour. I have been speaking to Mansour every day. We've not heard from him for a while. We've lost people, but just and it's not just in Gaza, it's also in the West Bank as well, that we are seeing the occupation coming in more and more and more. It's just I spoke to somebody who was a lawyer, and this was in November, and he said his child, it was World Child Day, and he said that he saw people celebrating their children, and his child was 30 days old. his child got his death certificate before he got his birth certificate, and that was the day that he decided to stop practicing law. He said, because there's no justice in the world. We were speaking to a paramedic, and his biggest dream was just to get his patients whole and not in pieces. And that is the reality. So, you know, we speak to these people and we just provide safe spaces and hope. And it's sometimes we don't hear from people again, and that's just the reality of. We're just trying to do what we can, but it's tough. But, you know, just even getting aid. Shout out to Zane, who is kind of part of our community. He was there a couple of weeks ago delivering aid into the Raqqa border as well. But again, delivering aid is a challenge, but we're just doing everything we can. It's tough, but we know the situation there. But we're just trying to do it, even if it's just providing a space where they can feel safe to speak, is what we're trying to do.
Thank you. And please, y'all, please click on that link. I know Hannah's a little bit like she's not going to really talk about her own needs or her own, you know, struggle, because she's a very strong person. I've known you since I first got on LinkedIn, and you've always supported me a lot. So please support. And, you know, Hannah is on the ground doing the work and talking to people and holding space with people, staying up all night and not getting sleep. She's not going to say this because she doesn't want to center herself. So I'll say it, that you're doing the work. And I want people to definitely support what you're doing. Follow the people that are doing this work. Support financially, y'all. Like, likes and comments are great. And I think even with this topic, people don't even want to like stuff because they are afraid of getting a target on their back, which just burns me up, because that doesn't matter. What matters is the fact that we are all complicit. Silence is complicity. If you're just sitting there saying, whoop, sucks, I wish I could do something, you can do something. Donate to Hannah's advocacy work. Keep talking about this. Keep supporting the people that are actually doing the work. Thank you, Hannah, for doing the work. Thank you for being out there on the front line. I always say this, I am a keyboard activist because I do my stuff on social media, but you do it on social media and you go out and you protest and you're there and you're talking to the people on the phone. That is not easy, y'all. So please, it's like I want to cry just thinking about it, because the idea of talking to people and not knowing if you're going to talk to them again is heartbreaking. But I want you to get the support that you need. So please, y'all, click on that link and support her in what she's trying to do, bringing humanity, Project Humanize, and everything that you're doing. We're behind you 100%. And I want you to close out, because I don't want to be the last one talking, even though I can support you.
I wanted to just say something also. First of all, Hannah, much respect to you and all the work that you're doing. And I pray that everybody that's on here is going to that link to donate right now. And just something for everyone to think about. You know, one-time actions don't really change the world and change what's happening in the world. You need consistency. You need a commitment. You need to continue to donate. You need to continue to financially support as a long-term, kind of like lifelong commitment, because these things are not just happening today and then they're over tomorrow. It's ongoing. The needs are ongoing, right? And so you have to kind of make that mindset shift so that you understand it's not like, oh, I made a donation, woo, I'm good. No, you're not good. Continue supporting, continue donating, continue being actively a part of the work. And I forget who said it here during this conversation, but someone was saying that, you know, these are activists and then there are other people. No, everybody's an activist. Everybody is an activist. Everybody should be an activist. It should be a part of your humanity. You should care about what's happening to other people, even people who don't look like you, who don't have the same beliefs that you have, who come from a different background, have a different religious belief, whatever it is, we should all care about each other. That's what humanity is. It's a collective, right? So what's happening across the world should be of a concern to you. What's happening down your street should be of a concern to you. We should all be caring about and taking care of and supporting one another. So that's one way to make a positive change, is to be consistently committed to that as a lifestyle versus thinking, oh, I made a one-time donation. Woo! I'm so special. I'm such a good person because I donated last month. oh my goodness, like I'm amazing. You're not amazing. Get consistent and get a commitment to it. So I wanted to say that. And then I wanted to just thank Liz for bringing us together to have this discussion today, to have this conversation.
Thanks.
Thank you for being the leader that you are. When I was looking at your profile, just to get the link to share, I saw you have over 220,000 followers on LinkedIn right now, and your comments are on. So shout out to you, Liz, because I couldn't do it. But I just want to say, if you guys have not gotten Liz's book, Protecting Your
thank you.
She ain't gonna plug it, so I'm gonna plug it for her.
No, I wasn't gonna plug it.
Please make sure you grab a copy of her book, or grab 10 copies of her book. Buy some for your whole department, buy some for your family members. And again, it's about tangible support, tangible, continuous, consistent support, and a commitment to this work. Okay. Remember, no hierarchy in humanity. We're all in this together. So what's happening to someone else affects you. What's happening to me affects you. What's happening to you affects me. So let's do better.
Yeah. And one last thing, because it's important.
Yes.
I know some of us feel just like we're keyboard activists, but let me tell you, the intention, the prayer, the energy, it matters. We're all energetic beings. Yes, tangible action is important, but if at minimum you can project and visualize the type of future that is collectively connected in love, peace, and community, do that every day. Because it is us and that consciousness and that intent that changes our reality. Please don't discount that. Okay?
Yes. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you for that. Thank y'all for this conversation. Thank y'all for these words of inspiration. I'm like literally in tears because I love coming together with my sisters that are out here doing this work. It's so rare to find this type of energy with people that really care about us as a community, all of us. So thank y'all for being here. Thank y'all for joining us. We were up to like 100 people. So we got the word out, and I expect that this will be watched. If you're able to, share this, if you're on here, please share this with your followers. Just click the link out to share it so that people can come back and watch this and understand exactly what's going on. We are here. We're not going anywhere. So this is it. Thank y'all for joining us.
Thank you.
Bye.